Boys and girls, we're working with this letter this week. Do you remember what letter this is? This is the letter W, and the W makes the W sound. W, W, like in wagon. Do you know what this one is? That's a web, and we read a book about a walrus. So all those things, wagon, web, walrus, watch, wedding, all those things begin with what letter? W. Okay, this is our capital W and our lowercase w. W is for wagon, w, w, w. W is for wagon, w, w, w. Now there's something else that begins with the letter W. Water, yes, water begins with a W. But there's a big animal that lives in the ocean. Do you know what kind of animal this is? This is a whale. Whale begins with the letter W. Now we're going to do something with a whale. Right now what we're going to do is we're going to take this picture of your whale, take this one first, and we're going to be finding the letter W. Now first let's take our practice making our letter W. Remember the letter W starts at the top and we slant down, slant up, slant down, slant up. There's our capital W and the lowercase w. Down, up, right? So the letter W makes the w, w sound. All right, so let's look at this paper here. And on this paper, we see at the bottom the letter W. It says W is for whale. So I want you to take a crayon and we're going to start right here at the black dot and we're going to trace. We're going to go down, up, down, up. Okay, start at the black dot and let's trace the capital W first. Slant down, slant up, slant down, slant up. All right, there's our capital W. And let's do our lowercase w the same way. Start at the black dot on the left. Ready? Slant down, slant up, slant down, slant up. Okay, W is for whale. Now we've done these papers before. What we're going to do on the whale, we have a whole bunch of different letters, and we're going to be looking for the letter W. Okay, so take one color. If you have a daughter, take one daughter. If you don't have a daughter, then pick one color. Okay, just one. Doesn't matter which one you use. Right? It says W is for whale. So we're going to look at all of the letters that are hiding in our whale, and we're going to find just the letter W and the w sound. All right, so let's look at the top, and let's go across. Is that a W? Yes, so we're going to make one spot on our W. Okay, what letter is that one? Now that's an X. We didn't get to that one yet. What about this one here? Is that a W? No, that's the letter V. Remember we were working with that a while ago. And what letter is this one? There's a W. Okay. And what letter is this one? Yes, that's a W also. That's a lowercase w. And what about this one? Is that a W? No, that's an N. N. How about this letter? What letter is that one? That's a lowercase w. All right, now let's look at this one. Oh, look at that. It kind of looks like a W, but it's not a W. That's upside down. That's the letter M. M. And M is almost like an upside down W, so we don't want that one. What about this one? Is that a W? Yes, that's the lowercase w. A little dot on there. And what about this one? Is that a W? No, that's the letter E. That's a lowercase e. Okay, let's come down to the next part. Do you know this letter? All right, that's the capital Y. Okay, we're going to be getting to that in a little bit. Yeah, that looks like a 1, but that's the lowercase L. We don't want that one. Do you remember this one? That's a capital U. Should we put a dot on it? No. How about this one? Yes, that's a capital W. So you're going to make one spot there. And how about this letter? Is that a W? No, that's a lowercase f. What about that one? Do you know that one? We didn't get to that yet, but I'm sure some of you know it. Yeah, that's a Z. And what about this one? That's a capital W. So let's put a dot on our capital W. And let's come down a little further. Okay, how about this letter? Do you remember that letter? That's a Q. Remember the capital Q was like an O with a little tail. What letter is this one? That's a capital W. So put a dot on there. And what about this one? That's a lowercase d, so we don't want to mark that. How about this one? That's a capital T. Should we mark that? No. What about this letter? That's a W. That's a lowercase w. And what about this last one? That's a capital H. Should we put a spot on it? No. And there's one more. What letter is this one? That's a capital W also. All right, so we're finding the letter W. And let's go back and count now and see how many W's we found hiding in our whale. You ready to count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we found 10 W's hiding in our whale. W is for whale. Now, I have a story about a man named Jonah and a whale. Okay, and we know whale begins with the letter W. And here's a story called Jonah and the Whale. Right? And this is a story that we would find in our Bible. Long ago, there lived a man of God named Jonah. One day, God told Jonah to go to the city of Nineveh and tell the wicked people there to stop their evil ways. Jonah was fearful of going to Nineveh because the people that lived there, were not very nice. Jonah was not looking forward to the dangerous mission God had chosen for him. After thinking about God's request, Jonah decided to pack for the journey to Nineveh. He doubted he could do much to change the people there and thought that if the trip became too perilous, he could always turn around and return home. Look how angry he looks. He does not look happy about that trip, does he? It was with much doubt and fear that Jonah started on his journey. Partway there, Jonah came upon a fork in the road. One road led to Nineveh, and the other road led to the seacoast of Joppa. Jonah gave in to his fears and decided to take the road to Joppa. From there, he hoped to find a boat that would take him far away from God and the dangerous city of Nineveh. "One ticket, please, to anywhere," Jonah said as he arrived at the pier in Joppa. Jonah paid the fare for the next scheduled trip to leave. The ship was sailing for the city of Tarshish. Jonah quickly boarded the ship. Jonah thought he was very clever. What better place to hide from the Lord than out at sea, he thought. But Jonah forgot the very important fact that God was always there by his side, every moment of every day. There was nothing Jonah could do to escape God or his great plan for him. God decided to remind Jonah that he is always present. He sent a windstorm over the sea that rocked the boat wildly. The other passengers on the boat bent down on their knees and cried out to their gods in fear. They wanted to know why they were being punished. Concerned for themselves and the other passengers, the crew members went from person to person, asking each of them if they had in some way angered God. When the crewmen approached Jonah and asked if he had angered God, Jonah hung his head sadly and answered, "Yes, I have disobeyed God, and now I am running away from him. But it is obvious to me that there is no escaping the will of the Lord. I have risked your lives as well as my own." Jonah sighed and told the crew members, "Throw me overboard, and God will calm the sea. He is upset with me, not you. Save yourselves and send me to my fate." The crew members felt sorry for Jonah. Rather than throw him overboard, they decided to row through the crashing waves that grew higher and stronger with each passing moment. As the waves grew even more powerful and the boat was on the verge of sinking, the crewmen decided that they had no choice but to throw Jonah overboard. Jonah splashed into the sea and watched as the waves around the boat calmed down as it sailed away. Jonah was relieved that the boat and its passengers were safe, though he was very worried to be all alone so far out at sea. Jonah decided that his only choice was to try to swim back to the town of Joppa. While Jonah was swimming towards the distant shore, he was unaware that he was not alone in the water. Coming up from behind him was a huge whale. It swam closer and closer until it was just a few feet away. But he was probably pretty scared, wasn't he? Jonah was startled when the whale made a terrible splash just behind him. Jonah cried out, "Dear God, I have failed you in your mission. I have been weak and have lacked courage. Now do with me what you will. I deserve nothing more than to be swallowed up by this whale." Accepting his fate, Jonah turned to face the whale. He could see his own reflection in its huge eye, and he hardly recognized his own appearance. He looked small, weak, and scared. Jonah said to the whale, "If you are hungry, please put me out of my misery. I deserve nothing more than to be eaten by you." God spoke to the whale and told it to swallow Jonah whole. The whale's stomach was so large that Jonah could stand up straight and still not reach the top. There was no escape, so Jonah did the only thing he could do. He knelt down and began to pray. "Dear God," Jonah said, "I have sinned against you. I did not go to Nineveh as you told me to. I did not warn them of the dangers of their evil ways, and so I am just as guilty for their sins as they are. Dear God, please forgive me." After 3 days and 3 nights inside the whale, Jonah heard a loud rumbling from within, and he was sure that it meant his end was near. He sat with his eyes closed, desiring with all his heart that he had been a better person in life, and that he had spent more time being close with God. After another loud rumble, Jonah found himself caught in a terrific wave that carried him out of the whale's stomach. The wave was of such force that it hurled Jonah almost to the shore. Jonah stumbled onto the sandy beach. With renewed spirit and faith, Jonah began to walk toward the city of Nineveh. He was looking forward to doing God's work and showing God how grateful he was for all his wonderful gifts. When Jonah arrived in Nineveh, he spoke with such strong belief that all the townspeople listened intently. As he spoke of God's loving and merciful ways, he noticed his reflection in a nearby eye, but rather the reflection of a man filled with the strength that only God can provide. Now, what we're going to do is we have this picture of a whale. Okay, it says W is for whale. And what we're going to do is we're going to color this in. Okay, remember that's the letter W. So we'll color our W. And there we have our sun. So you take your yellow crayon and you can color in your sun. And remember what kind of animal this is? Yeah, that's a whale. So you can take either your black crayon and do it very lightly, or a gray crayon if you have a gray crayon. Okay, just remember, if you're doing it black, very, very lightly, like tickle, 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 tickle. Very, very, very lightly. We'll color in our whale. Try to stay in your lines. And then we can go back and we can take our blue crayon and we can color our water. Okay, there's the water coming out of that blowhole at the top there. And we can color our water all around our whale. So you think Jonah learned his lesson and started listening to God from then on? Yeah, he didn't want to make God angry anymore, right? Okay, so here we have our whale. So we have whale and water, and all those things begin with what letter? W. And a W makes the W sound. Very good.